Hey guys, Tina here and welcome to another video. Today I'm filming a video in which I will let you know what are some new to me authors that I started reading in 2017. This is another video in my year in review videos that I'm posting for December. I can barely say that, but still. And yes, I have a small pile here, so let's get to it. As you can expect, these are mostly fantasy authors, and because of that there's a lot of guys in it, although statistics say that I mostly read female authors, but still, you could not say that from this pile, just so you know, but I did better than what this looks like. So the first author that I really liked this year was Mackenzie Lee, and this is the book that I read by her, The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, and I'm also really looking forward to the companion book that comes out next year, hopefully. This tells the story of Monty, who goes on the grand tour with his best friend and love interest and his sister, well, Monty's sister, not Percy's. And yeah, things don't actually go according to plan, so there's a lot of confusion, hilarity, and just awesomeness. And I really enjoyed it. I loved it, and of course, as I mentioned, I'm looking forward to the next book by Mackenzie Lee. Thanks to Sam over at Sam's Nonsense, I also picked up Traitor's Blade by Sebastian de Castel, which is book one in his Great Coats series, and I have yet to finish the rest of the series as well. I would like to start his young adult series, but yeah, this will be a priority next year. This is about a group of men who used to work for the king. They're called Great Coats, and basically whenever the king, because the king couldn't travel around the country and pass out judgments, basically they did that in his stead, and once the king was killed they were disbanded, and now they're trying to survive, and they're not well liked at all, and of course they get into some trouble and mischief, and it's a really great book. It's sort of reminiscent of the Three Musketeers, and there's a lot of greatness and the characters are a lot of fun, so I really want to continue on with the series. I also got acquainted with Pierce Brown and his Red Rising trilogy, which is a sci-fi dystopian series that tells the story of Darrow, who lives on Mars, and he's classified as a red, so he's the lowest class of people possible. He's basically a physical laborer, and his people are not the brightest, not the prettiest, and Darrow gets the opportunity to actually become all that, as well as fight the system, and he takes it. And well, craziness ensues from there. Seriously, you have to read these books to learn what's going on. I actually have reviews of the first books, and I will be linking it down below or up in the card symbol. I'm not sure, but yeah, I loved these books so much, especially the second one. There's so much going on, and I just loved it. And they're so fast-paced, crazy. Love them. Pick them up if you want to. I'm really looking out for Iron Gold. It comes out in January. It's not soon enough, but I also don't want the year to end, so I'm conflicted about that. But yeah, fantastic. Then I have an author that I was eyeing for a while, and I really wanted to dive into his books, and I decided to start with his young adult series, and that is Joe Abercrombie and Half a King, which is book one in his young adult trilogy. And this series tells the story of Yarvi. He is a prince, and he's also disformed, which is why nobody wants him as the future king. And yes, he ends up being exactly that, but yeah, things don't go according to plan, and he has to sit his ass, basically. I really enjoyed it. I have yet to continue on with the series because, yeah, just other things, or other books actually, pushed those back. But yeah, and once I get done with this series, I definitely want to try his Blade Itself series trilogy. The First Law trilogy, it's what it's called. And yeah, he's a grim, dark author, so I'm looking forward to that. I haven't read a lot of those books, so yeah, next year's gonna be awesome. I also decided to start the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan this year, and this is book one in his 14-book series. And I sort of fell in love with these books. They're not like, you know, I'm not the hugest fan, but I really like them and I just enjoy reading them. They tell the story of Ren and his friends who are from this small village, and things happening in their village that make them believe that it would be best if they left, and so their people would be safe, and they do that, and they are accompanied by this woman of power and her bodyguard, I guess, and a bunch of other girls, and as they're trying to make it to safety, they of course face a lot of adventures, and they meet different people and see different places, and it's fantastic, and I really like it so far. It's not a fast series, so if you decide to pick them up, expect that these books are more Tolkien kind of fantasy than Sanderson or some other author that is a lot more fast regarding the pace, but I'm really liking it, and I hope that I will finish the series next year. I have still quite a way to go though. And throughout the year, of course, there were a few readathons, and during one of those I decided to buddy read a book with Haley from Haley Reads. I will leave her channel up here so you could go check her out. But we decided to buddy read A Nevernight by Kristoff. We were both slightly intimidated by it because, well, it's a big book and you hear different things about it, especially about the footnotes in there. That was what was keeping me, stopping me from actually picking it up. But we decided to read it together, and it was the best decision I think we made. And we really enjoyed it, and I'm really looking forward to reading the sequel as well as some other books by Kristoff. I'm not a huge fan of, what's that series that he's co-writing? The Gemina. What's the first book though? I can't remember, but I don't like those necessarily. At least I didn't like the first one, so maybe the second one's better. I'm not sure. I will look into that, but this series is definitely great, and I also want to start his other trilogy that was written before this one anyways. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Fantastic. Then I also decided to pick up a really popular series currently on BookTube, and that is Every Heart Adored by Shauna Maguire, or the Wayward Children series. I think that's the official title. And this is a series of novellas. These are short books, and I only read this one so far, but it's not going to be the last, because I already own the sequel, and I'm really looking forward to the third one. It comes out next year. What I liked most about this story is, okay, they're very whimsical, at least this one was, and there's just a great imagination that I really admire, and also the writing was just so beautiful. It just, wow, it just pulls you in, and you just, wow, it's such a joy to read a book like this, and I loved it. And also, it tells a story of these children that go through portals, and then when they have to come back from those different worlds that they visited, they're not necessarily happy, and they're struggling to fit back in. And yes, this is what this is about, because I forgot to tell that, and you probably know, but still. The next author that I discovered is James Islington, and his debut novel, A Shadow of What Was Lost, which is book one in his trilogy. And I will not claim that this is the best thing I ever read, because it's not, but I can see the potential, and I will definitely continue on with the series. In this book we follow Davian, who is in school for the gifted. He himself is struggling with being a gifted, because the gifted are actually people that can wield magic and do magic, but he is struggling with that, and he's afraid that he's going to be stripped of his power. But in fact, he is slightly more than just gifted. He's an augur, and augurs were supposed to be gone. There was a war 20 years before, and they were all killed, and there was supposed to be none left, but he's one of those. And he basically is gifted, but he's a bit more, because he can read people's minds and see the future and things like that. And since he is not really great at controlling his power, he's afraid that he's going to be stripped of it, and that's why when he gets the opportunity to go on a mission and avoid the test, he does that, and we follow his story as well as the stories of his friends. And this world is again on the brink of war, and I really liked it, so I'm looking forward to reading the next one. And the last author that I'm going to mention is David E. Levine and his series of stories about Arabella Ashby from Mars. This is a girl that was raised on a plantation on Mars. Her parents own a plantation of this special wood, and she is a bit of a tomboy, and again her mother decides to ship her off to London because she wants to turn Arabella into a lady. And while they are being educated, her father is murdered on Mars, and Arabella decides that she has to go back home to see what is going on. And yeah, I really like this story. Arabella is a great protagonist. I really liked her. She's not angsty and just being a typical teenager. She's a kick-ass lady, and I just loved it. The world is also fantastic. It's similar to ours again, and it has certain historical elements, but they are slightly turned on their head, and I just loved it. And of course, this is the ship that she travels on when she's going through from Earth to Mars, and it's fantastic. And I have the sequel, and yet again I have to read it, and that will again have to wait until next year, but I'm really looking forward to it. So those are some of the authors that really made an impression on me this year. Let me know down in the comments what new authors you discovered this year, and thank you for watching this video, and see you in my next one. Bye!